All right, let's talk about Jordan Addison, the fourth wide receiver selected out of four straight wide receivers selected in round one just a year ago in the 2023 draft. And you could argue he was the best one of the bunch out of those four guys. Ravens fans would argue Zay Flowers, but either way, they've both been very good. And I kind of want to talk about how good is Jordan Addison and, what can he maybe bring to the table now that there's a new quarterback? What's going to happen? So, yeah, let's just get into the film and talk about what he does well, also maybe what he needs to improve upon. Let's just get into it. So right off the bat, let's go over here where it's going to be it's a zone coverage concept, cover three zone, but it's essentially just a one-on-one matchup. That is Jordan Addison's route, and it's worth mentioning the Vikings could really use a play right now. They're currently down 20 points to the Philadelphia Eagles, so definitely getting something down the field would be very helpful. Like I said, kind of a pure one-on-one matchup. And you see that when this play begins, Addison's going to really blow by his assigned corner, which, again, Philadelphia didn't always have the best outside corners last season, but still, let's just be honest about Addison's situation. He plays across from Justin Jefferson. He's going to get favorable matchups. He's going to get one-on-one looks. And what you want if you're a Vikings fan is, with a number two receiver, a guy who can just win in these one-on-one matchups. As you see, that's exactly what he does. It's good throw, and he actually even breaks a tackle, gets into the end zone for a touchdown. So really good stuff there by Jordan Addison to be able to pull that kind of thing off. Of course, this play was a very, well talked about play. Again, to set the situation, it's a 3rd down and 6 with 16 seconds left. The Vikings don't have any timeouts. Like, it's kind of a little bit surprising they're even running a play here instead of just running the ball and then punting. But that's not what they want to do. They want to say, hey, let's give it a shot. It's once again a one-on-one matchup with Addison running down the field. And worth mentioning, there is no Justin Jefferson on this play. But again, when I brought that up, it was more of a general point. But you're going to see that when this play begins, obviously the 49ers corner giving a lot of space because he knows giving up a first down here doesn't really hurt them that much. You see, though, this is honestly a risky play by Kirk Cousins, and maybe one he shouldn't have made because the corner's in pretty good position right here. But watch what Addison does. Watch him come back to the ball, rips it out of the hands of the defensive back Ward, and is able to get all the way into the end zone for a touchdown on that play. Quite the big 7 points if they would go on to beat the 49ers. And that was a real signature win for the Vikings early on last year, unfortunately just shortly before Cousins got injured. But yeah, I mean, his ability to win in these ways is certainly something that is a key factor for the Minnesota Vikings. If they can get him to consistently win these, easier matchups one-on-ones, this could really make this offense lethal. Even in smaller ways, something like this, where it's man coverage once again, but this time Addison is not just running a deep shot down the field. That is the route he's running, definitely more of an underneath route here on a 3rd down and 9 situation. So, okay, simple enough. Let's see what happens. When this play begins, you're going to notice that there was a little bit of contact at the line, and Addison isn't wide open or anything. This certainly wouldn't be your first look on a play like this, but, for the quarterback who is not Kirk Cousins at this point, I believe this is Nick Mullins looking to make the throw, it's an option, right? It's better to throw it to Addison where, hey, maybe you only gain a few yards, but that can put you in field goal range, make it a little easier for a field goal, or maybe Addison makes the play. Well, as you see, this ball is thrown to Addison, and Addison makes a play. Defensive back goes for the ball and misses it, and now Addison is in open space right here, and watch what he's going to do with the open space. Watch him really blow by everyone. He's going to get into the end zone for a touchdown. So good stuff there by Addison to make that play work. Again, being able to make something out of nothing is a real positive trait with a wide receiver, and that's what he was able to do there, in my opinion. Heading over to this play, I think this is really interesting. So these are, once again, one-on-one matchups across the board. Okay, man coverage, got it. But what's interesting is that I would say the route that's probably best on this play is that one, the running backs route going further deep. And you might be saying, okay, well then why are you showing me this play in a Jordan Addison video? Because Jordan Addison is lined up as the running back on this play. We know that Kevin O'Connell likes to use his best receivers in unique ways. Well, that's what he's doing here. Watch as when this play begins, Addison gets kind of a favorable matchup, and because of that, I mean, look at how much space there is right here. I'm sure J.J. McCarthy will certainly appreciate windows like this, and when you have, another great wide receiver taking some attention away from Addison, and you have, a head coach that puts Addison in positions to succeed, well, that's how plays like this can happen. You see it's a good throw. Addison makes the grab, gets into the end zone for a touchdown. Good stuff all around. But again, this is really good by Jordan Addison. Really good by the Vikings coaching staff, too, putting him in positions to succeed. But that's not necessarily to say that, sure, definitely Addison is benefited sometimes by the situation, but he also benefits the situation as well. Like this play, a pretty typical play. Zone coverage, Addison's running over the middle. Simple enough. I'm going to switch over to this angle that it'll give a better, kind of clearer example of what I'm showing. But okay, you see where he is on the field. But watch how he runs this route. Watch him kind of fake as though he's going towards the outside, then gets over the middle, really gets that window to throw as wide as possible. Really good stuff there by Jordan Addison to pull that kind of thing off. So again, it's not just a situation for sure. He's doing a lot of really good stuff with the Vikings. I think if you look at like Jordan Addison's stats, they don't wow you, right? I mean, 911 yards and 10 touchdowns is a good season. Like the 10 touchdowns especially, very good. But nothing that makes you say, oh my God, elite or anything like that. But at the same time, I think it's fair to mention that he only had a starting quarterback throwing him the football for half of the season. And let's just be honest, the Vikings, some of the quarterbacks that were, throwing him the ball weren't exactly doing awesome out there. So because of that, that is going to affect things. But when I watched him play, I saw him be a guy who could make some real splash plays and was consistently making good plays and being able to win in these one-on-one matchups. And I do think that giving him another year, give him a full year with Jefferson and with healthy quarterback, because it's also worth mentioning a lot of those earlier games, Addison was wide receiver number 1 because Jefferson was hurt, so didn't have a lot of games where he had both Cousins and Jefferson out there. So now if you can get a lot of games with Jefferson and JJ McCarthy out there, that could potentially really help him, and I think you could get more box score numbers and things like that. Of course, box score isn't the best indicator of a wide receiver success. There are other things to look at, such as just watching the film, but they're fun stats for sure, and I would bet that his numbers will go up next year, specifically to yards. Like I said, 10 touchdowns is pretty good. You'll certainly take 10 touchdowns, but yeah, I mean, as a whole, listen, for the wide receiver, for today's NFL, wide receiver matters maybe more than any position other than quarterback. I think it does matter more than any position other than quarterback. So getting that wide receiver room as good as possible is incredibly important. And as good as Jefferson is, he can't do it alone. And so going out and having Jordan Addison and having TJ Hawkinson, it really completes this receiving core, and it's part of why the Vikings, who knows? If McCarthy is able to be good right away, this could be a pretty good offense next year. And if it takes him a little bit to be good, well, it could be a pretty good offense eventually because all these players are so young. So, yeah, those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.